Okay, and so basically all you have to do in order to accomplish this is move the constant to the other side. So our first step, we simply move this constant over to the other side. Now notice I left a gap here. Right? Leave a space to complete the square, because coming up here in the next few steps, you'll complete the square if you can just do it in that open space if you plan ahead and leave that space. Okay? The next step, if necessary, and this will be on the slightly more challenging types of problems, and that is that you need to get your leading coefficient to be a 1. Okay, so here is my leading coefficient already a 1. Yeah, so I'm good with that. I don't have to do anything for this particular step. Okay, once you get your leading coefficient to be 1, then you're going to go through the process of completing the square. Okay, in order to reference this process, you need to look at the standard form of a quadratic equation, and that is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Right? This is familiar to you guys. A is the coefficient of x squared, b is the first degree term's coefficient of x, c is the constant, the 0 degree term. Okay, when you complete the square, right, there's several steps that you're going to follow for this. The first one is you're going to take half of the b value. Okay, the b value is the first degree term's coefficient. So here when we look at this first degree term, its coefficient is -8. So we're going to take half of -8. So -8 divided by 2 is -4. Okay, and then you're going to square it. So you're going to square that. When you square -4, you get what? 16. And then finally, you're going to add that to both sides of the equation. Okay, so we're going to add 16 to both sides of this equation. Okay, so there's your 3-step process for completing the square. Take half of your first degree term's coefficient, square it, add it to both sides of the equation. Once you do this step, what you're then able to do is you're able to rewrite the left side as a binomial square. Okay, so this becomes, by following this process in step 3, you create a perfect square trinomial, which in effect can be factored into a binomial square. First term x, and then the second term is always going to be whatever we squared, whatever we got in this first step right here. This 1/2 of b value is going to be your middle term, or your second term of that binomial. So half of -8 was -4. Okay? And then on the right side, we just simplify what we have. -3 plus 16 is 13. Okay, and then once we get past this step, our final step here is to solve in the exact same way that we solved the problems at the end of 5.2, which was extracting the square root from a binomial square. And you're just going to continue to solve for the x. Okay, so here when we extract our square root, we get x minus 4. Remember, you have to account for the positive and negative root when you do that. And then isolate x completely. We add 4 to both sides. Whatever you do to both sides, it goes in front of the plus or minus, and that gives you your 2 solutions. Again, keep in mind that you're dealing with 2 solutions here. When you're asked to enter these online, write the lesser one of the 2 first. The lesser one is the one in which you're subtracting a quantity, followed by the greater of the 2, in which case you're adding the quantities. And so this is what it would look like if you were entering this online.